I would say almost 95% of the losses that you take as a day trader are caused by emotional mistakes. We're going to break down some very common emotional mistakes that I've experienced and I'm sure you've experienced as well, and also talk about what we can do to overcome these emotional mistakes that hold us back as day traders. Gonna break it all down right here in this video, so make sure you stay tuned. At the end of the day, buying low, selling high, that's the simplest way of making money as a day trader. The problem is, can you manage your emotions, control your emotions to stay out of trouble and to avoid making emotional decisions as a day trader? We are all humans. I'm pretty sure everybody watching this video is a human. Maybe there's a few aliens out there, but in general, as humans, we have emotions. The real key to becoming a consistently profitable day trader is to be able to consistently control your emotions and have discipline. A really common emotional mistake that people make is not entering a trade even when they identified the breakout, the setup, and all of that stuff. People end up seeing exactly what's on the chart. You're like, okay, if we push through this, I want to get long here, and then the market starts to bounce, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna wait, and then all of a sudden it goes higher and it goes higher, and you end up not entering the trade. Maybe you end up FOMOing in at the top, and then you end up losing money. But why did you not enter in the first place? A couple reasons. You've got the emotion that you're going to end up losing. You got the emotion that you're not going to be right. You got the emotion that you just don't know what to do, right? Like you're like, hey, this is my setup, this is my breakout, I want to get in here, but I can't get over this emotion of wanting to lose. But I really want to get in on this trade, but I can't get over the emotion that I might lose on this trade. So what am I going to do? I need to think about a couple things. I need to think about my sizing and my strategy. If I know that my strategy is setting up, all right, I'm looking for this breakout, perfect. We want this breakout here. I'm entering here. You know, my overall strategy is to get in here once we make a new high above this candle there. So 80.25. You know, my stops down here. Being able to go through and focus on what your strategy is, being like, okay, I'm entering here, my stop is here before I enter the trade. That's going to make it much easier identifying this is my risk, this is my potential profit, getting a push up to the highs here, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a move from here to here. I've turned this situation of me wanting to get in to now a setup to now being a trade. And I know that I'm going to risk here, I'm going to enter here. If I still have fear of entering the trade once I've identified my setup, what should I do? I should size down. If the issue is when I enter the trade here and all of a sudden I enter and I start becoming emotional and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? It's and you get crazy. I guarantee you're trading with too much size. So if you're having problems jumping in on these types of setups, you're not committing to your strategy, size down, trade the micros, trade one micro contract, and do that over and over to the point where you're like, okay, I feel confident to buy one micro contract. Okay, I feel confident to buy two micro contracts, and I can keep sizing up knowing that, hey, if I'm buying one micro contract here at the 80s and my risk is down here, I'm risking, let's say $20 on this trade. Okay, perfect. Now I'm willing to risk $200 to make $1,000, and my risk can now increase with my confidence in the setup. It can increase with my confidence in my overall strategy. So guys, if you're having a fear of entering trades, I'm telling you right now, size down, go to a smaller size, and you can always size back up once you build that confidence up again. If you've had a red day, whatever it is, you've missed out, you just haven't had a lot of luck lately, size down, trade with small size, very small losses, and get to a point where you're like, hey, look, okay, I entered, I made $10, I made $20. Do that continuously, and then you'll be able to size up. Another very common emotional mistake for day traders is to know when to walk away. You've got to know when to walk away. You got to have your maximum loss on your account, and you got to say, look, if I normally am making $200, $300 on a good profit day, well, I can't afford to lose $5,000 on one day. So I really need to keep my overall risk on the day in line with what my normal profit is. So if you're having $100, $200 profit days, you can't be willing to lose $500 on the day. You got to get to a point where you're able to just walk away, turn off the computer. Even on a green day, sometimes one of the best things to do is just to walk away, to know, okay, look, hey, I'm happy, I'm content. I'm going to take my profit. I'm going to walk away. I'm not going to get greedy. I'm not going to try to overtrade, whatever it is. Knowing when to walk away is going to be one of the most powerful tools, one of the most powerful lessons or rules, or whatever you want to call it, as a day trader. Knowing when to walk away is going to make you a successful day trader. I'm telling you that right now. If you end up just continuously trying to grow, if you end up just continuously trying to dig yourself out of the hole on a red day, you're going to end up losing more and more money. And in the long run, you're going to see that you just cannot sustain a profitable, consistent day trading return when you have big red days that are nowhere in line with what your overall profit is on the day. So you really got to know when to walk away, my friends. Another very common emotional mistake for day traders is being greedy in the fact that you're like, okay, I'm going to enter here for this trade. I got this basically like this trend line here. I'm looking for a push up. Perfect. Like that's my entry. This is my target. What happens, right? This ends up pushing up here to this level. And then you're like, well, I want more. I want to get more profit. I've already made $1,000, but I want to make $2,000 because I think it's going to go higher. And then guess what? It pulls back. And now at this point, you're like, well, fuck, I just want to get break even, or I just want to basically get back to this point here. And then the market pushes back up here, and then again you get greedy. You're like, oh, it's gonna finally break out to the upside, it's gonna happen for sure. And what do you end up doing? You end up getting greedy, you end up holding, and then you end up getting out for either a loss, or you end up getting out for a break even or a very small profit because you were too greedy to take profit here. You just kept fighting the idea that, you know, there's a trend line there, you see that there's resistance here, it's moving down, and you're just like, no, it's gonna go higher, it's gonna push. And guys, I've done this. I know exactly this feeling of being in the trade and just being like, no, it's gonna go higher. You think it's gonna go higher, and you end up just battling, and before you know it, you end up getting out for break even. I've done this too many times. There is nothing wrong with taking profit, my friends. Getting to a point you're like, hey, look, it pushes up here, okay, it pulled back there. Well, there's no way in hell I should let it go below this level. Like, there's just no way I let this come back to where my entry was. Especially seeing that we bounced off there. Like, if we can't hold there, well, then we're going to pull back to my entries. So you got to be able to take profit, and you got to understand that you're not always going to nail the top, and you're not always going to nail the bottom. You got to just be able to get in, get out, take your profit, and be able to walk away, or just be waiting for the next setup. If you're like, hey, I'm long here, it pushes up here, it gets stuck, and then it gets stuck here again, well, maybe get short here, right? Instead of trying to fight this and be like, it's going to go higher, it's going to go higher. No. Trade what's on the chart. Don't trade what your greed. Don't trade what your overall plan to be like, oh, I think it's going to go higher. Like, no, trade what you see on the chart, my friends. Slow down. Slow down. A lot of people have this problem. This is an emotional issue for day traders. You get into a trade, it doesn't work out. It goes against you. So what do? I've done this. Remember, these videos that I'm making here, this is all stuff that I've done before. I know what this feeling is like. You get into a trade, the trade goes against you, it starts pulling back. What do? You flip to short. What do? You end up getting out of the trade, you end up flipping short, and then all of a sudden it spikes back up, you chase it again. One piece of advice that I'll give anyone out there as a day trader, new day trader, whatever day trader you are experienced, is slow down. If you're in a trade, you get stopped out, just take a breath, right? Like, kind of pull back. Be like, okay, wait a second. Like, figure out, why did you get stopped out? Figure out what went wrong. Give yourself a second, right? Like, really just kind of pull back and focus on why you got stopped out. Why did that trade not work? Is the trend still valid? Is there still a overall direction? What is going on? Were you fighting the overall direction? Were you fighting the trend? Ask yourself questions before entering the next trade. Just because you got stopped out, let's say you got stopped out on a long, and all of a sudden the market keeps pulling back, that doesn't mean that's a short. It doesn't mean like, oh, I should instantly get short. It sometimes works out that way, but in general, you really need to be able to pull back, slow down, take a breath, and be like, okay, I see what's happening. We're getting stuck. Okay, let me take a moment. Let me look for the next opportunity. But just to be like in and out quickly, just bang, 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 bang. I see this all the time. It's basically over trading at that point where you're just chasing every little move up and down. One piece of advice to control those emotions is to just slow down. If you need to get up and go for a little walk, if you need to go outside for a minute, whatever it is, slow down, my friends. Keep those emotions in check. The final and most important mistake that new day traders will fight, or even experienced day traders like myself sometimes fight, is your stop loss. If you get into a trade, you place your stop, you identify your risk, your reward, you have it all lined up, you have your strategy, you have to obey your stop loss. There is no, lever. There is no averaging down. There is no holding. There is no hoping and praying. When it comes to futures, the market keep going lower and lower, keep going higher and higher. So when you have a stop, you got to be able to obey that and understand that you're not wrong to get out of the trade, right? You're placing your stop at a level that is invalidating the trade and is telling you like, hey, that trade didn't work out. So I need to step back and look for that next opportunity. Just because you got stopped out does not make you a bad trader. Getting stopped out is part of the plan, right? There's a reason that we have a stop in the first place. If we were just going to enter trades with no stop and we were just like, hey, we don't care, blah, 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 like that would just basically be gambling, right? Let's go to Vegas and just gamble. But the reason that we use a stop is because we want to manage our risk. We're managing our risk. We're controlling our risk. So you have to obey the stop loss, my friends. Obey your stop. Your stop is just important as taking profit. If you can't obey your stop, if you can't obey your profit target, well, then you're never going to make money as a day trader. There it is, a lot of common emotional mistakes for new day traders and experienced day traders alike. You've got the fear of entering. That comes down to your size. Focus on sizing down. Focus on just the process, the strategy. People have a lot of greed when it comes to taking profit. If you're not taking profit, you're never going to win. You've got to take profit, my friends. And you've also got to obey your stop loss. Obey your stop loss like it's the 10 commandments or the number 1 commandment, whatever there is. Obey your stop loss. And then also slow down. Take a breath, my friends. Take a breath. Focus on what's going on. Take a moment to be like, hey, look, I might have been wrong with the trade. I'm going to take a moment to kind of figure out what I should do next year. And then obviously everyone's going to have a red day. Even the best day traders in the world have red days. You got to be able to walk away. You got to be able to accept that and say, hey, look, I took a red day. It's part of it. Tomorrow's going to be a green day, and then we're right back into it. Every day, it's a battle. Every day, we're learning. Every day, we're getting a little bit better, my friends. So control your emotions and look to make some money as a day trader. Let's go.